All right, well, let's go ahead and begin. Welcome everybody to the Technology Educator Meeting for September 11th, 2024. Into the chat, you'll see two different items. The first of which is the slide deck, and then also a link for attendance. So make sure that you are joining us on those slides. I built them like I usually do, where I have like jumping off points and links and all kinds of other crazy things in there. So make sure that you visit that slide deck so that you can access it. If you are watching this later, look into the description of this video and you should see that link there, or you can visit our website and you'll see those resources. Welcome to our collaboration. My name is Matthew Mays. I'm a digital innovation consultant here at the Stark County ESC. Just so that everybody knows, not as a brag, but these are all the networks that I'm connected to, so that you can kind of see if this is a product that you use or that you're more interested in and you want to learn more. Feel free to come to me and I will be happy to help inform you. You can find me on all the socials on at I am Mays. And that picture is a preview of one of my big shares for the end of our meeting. That was from the Innovator Academy this summer. So I will talk more about that here toward the end of our meeting. All right, our table of contents for the meeting is the same as usual. We'll talk a little bit about setup and just some stuff that I want you to be mindful of as we start our school year. And then the second thing, we'll do our group share, which is always my favorite part because I get to stop talking and you all get to share lovely, wonderful things. We'll do a deep dive into a larger topic, and then we'll talk about what is upcoming before we see each other again. All right, just some housekeeping things for us as we're getting started. As always, this is a safe space. So this meeting is for everyone. Administrators, teachers, educators, coaches, whoever you may be, we are happy to have you. So all questions, clarifications, whatever you need to ask, this is a safe space. So please feel free to ask those. And either myself or one of our friends on the call is happy to help you out. Okay, learning intentions for our meeting. We are here for those best practices to share across our districts within the region and ultimately be those tech leaders for our county and beyond. For this school year, we have 4 meetings, the first of which is happening right now. Obviously, this is September 11th. We will meet again on Wednesday, November 13th, and then we'll take a couple months off and come back in February for February 5th. That'll be right before OETC. And then our final meeting of the year will be in April on April 9th. From my friend Eric, these are the different content-specific documents that will kind of show you some of the tech things that are out there if you're interested. These are specific to the different content areas of ELA, of math, of social studies, and of science. So if you open any of those, you will be taken to a document that has tons and tons and tons of really wonderful resources. These are great to share, especially early at the beginning of the year. Share with your friends within district. It's a great place to find some really effective tools that you could be using for your classroom. All right. Time for the group share. So before I throw it out to all of you, I wanted to take some time to talk about Senate Bill 29, which is going to take effect on October 24th. I have a couple links down here too, in case you would like to learn more. If me saying those letters and numbers together is the first time you've ever heard that combination, this is big time. This is from, it started in the Ohio Senate, and was written and drafted by Stephen A. Huffman from Tip City. And this involves student data privacy and the records that are out there for our students, specifically when it comes to their use with different vendors or different products. So I wanted to take some time here at the start of the meeting to address it, because obviously this is going to take effect before we see each other again in November, and it's something that I wanted you to be mindful of. I also want to prime the pump a little bit and say there are some statements that are made in this bill that we don't have the answers to. So I want you to be informed, but I also want you to know that there are some meetings upcoming in the next few weeks that will hopefully help to provide some answers for us. So I will talk through it as best as I can, but know that we will get further clarification on this here in the weeks to follow. So pulled out a couple provisions in here. There are 3 of them that I definitely want you to be mindful of. Okay, the first of which it says by August 1st of each school year, each school district must notify parents and students of any curriculum, testing, or assessment technology provider contract affecting a student's educational record. So this is really getting down to that data privacy piece. It lists the date as August 1st, which we obviously know has passed. So we aren't quite sure as far as like what this means for October 24th, if this is something that we need to share, or if this is something that can wait until next August 1st. And for our friends who just joined the call, welcome. Please jump onto the slides. We just got started. We're talking about Senate Bill 29, which if you haven't heard, it involves student data privacy and some of the requirements that are there for school. So this is sort of a big thing that I wanted to start with here for our meeting today. The second piece of this that I think you should be mindful of is big. It says, it names technology features that school districts and technology providers cannot electronically access or monitor with certain exceptions. So for your school issued computers, these are the disallowed features that they have specifically named. The first is location tracking features of a school issued device. Can't do that. Audio or visual receiving, transmitting, or recording feature of a school issued device. And lastly, disallowed features would include student interactions with a school issued device, including but not limited to keystrokes and or web browsing activities. This is really, really big time. So what I will say is, and again, for our friends who are just joining the call, this is going to take effect on October 24th, but we don't have all the answers in terms of like, this is what this actually means, or these are the things that we would need to be mindful of at the district level. As we look at some of these though, like we are very much actively doing these because we're trying to protect our kids, right? We want those keystrokes. We want that web browsing activity because if a student is doing something harmful or searching for something harmful, we want to know that as fast as possible so that we can intervene and help that student. So having these disallowed features no longer be available is really tricky. Now, what I'll say, yep, would you give me one more second, Kim, and I'm coming to you, I promise.
Yep.
So what is tricky about this, and again, what we're seeking further clarification on is, you can do this as a district. You can still have your keystroke. You can still have your web browsing activity monitored and all those other things in place. You just have to notify people within 72 hours. And this is the third and final provision, and I'll bring this in now. So if a school district or technology provider legally interacts with a school issued device, it must within 72 hours of that access notify the student or the student's parent and provide a written description of the interaction. So what was done, as well as include what features were accessed and the description of the threat if there was any. So you could continue to do this, but the way that it is currently written and through our understanding of it is that you would then theoretically have to notify these parents or the students every 72 hours of having done so. So, Kim, you have a really great question. Go ahead.
Well, that's, so we use GoGuardian. So then it wouldn't be enough to just let the parents know at the beginning of the school year that we use GoGuardian. So like any time we use it for any class, we would have to let the parents know, or just if the kids did something that was like flagged?
So this is a wonderful question. And this is one of the things specifically that we are seeking further clarification on. Our interpretation as it is written is that theoretically you would have to notify every 72 hours. Now, there was a really important meeting today down in Columbus. Tyler Smith, who runs Spark here, other ITC leaders, as well as like lawyers and some other legislators were in a room together kind of hammering this thing out. And so we are hoping, I am hoping that we get further clarification on this, and that what you have just described, or we can say up front at the beginning of the school year, hey, this is, these are all the ways that we're on these devices, maybe put it out through something like Final Forms or something similar, to just say up front, like, this is the thing that's happening. You should know that when we give you this device, that's the thing that's happening. We are hopeful that that's what can take place. But like I said, I know that meeting was happening today, and we're waiting for that debrief basically of what was said and what should be done. So if you have really big questions like how can we ensure that we're providing a CIPA compliant internet, and does our LMS fall under this, like the things that are done on Google Classroom? What do you mean that we can't do keystrokes or web browsing activity? And like, what is data privacy to begin with? You are not alone. We have a couple different things that are coming up, and I can see here, I forgot to include one of the slides, but there are a couple meetings that are upcoming. Friday, all of the network managers have been invited to a virtual call to basically have Tyler tell us the findings that he had from the meeting. So every district in Spark will have access to that meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to get our answers. And there's another meeting that I'll tell you about here at the end of our meeting, the Leading for Learning meeting. We are going to have some leaders from ETLA bring some things out for us too. And that's happening next Wednesday. That one is at 9 a.m. So I know that that's not necessarily universal for like our classroom teachers who are on the call right now. That might be more difficult to tap into, but I will share out with this network, with some of the other networks, basically what the rulings are on all of those, all of our findings, and I will get those answers to you. So I know that it doesn't necessarily, that all of this impacts like every educator, every school, but these are all decisions that are being made at the top level and not necessarily classroom level. But these are really, really important decisions. Something that is affecting literally every device that is in the hands of our kids. So something that I wanted to share. Okay, Laura, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. What does LMS stand for? Did I miss that one?
Learning management system. So
Okay.
for some districts, they have things like Canvas. It's basically a learning deployment system. So I know that you guys use Google Classroom, which is not technically an LMS, but it functions for most districts as an LMS. It's basically the idea that, a teacher can put a lesson on here, the students can interact with it, can create work, can complete tests, quizzes, other things like that, all into like little modules.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Sure, no problem. I'm glad you asked. All right, so are there any other questions or anything that I can hammer out for you regarding Senate Bill 29? This is like, I said this the other day in a meeting, like it always makes me really uncomfortable to share about things that I don't have answers to. So I would love to be able to say, these are all the things that they're saying, and this is how you're going to, tackle this. But like, I don't know. So when we do know, and when we're compiling all those things, I promise that you will be the first group that knows all about it. Okay. All right, now I get to stop talking and you get to start sharing. So hopefully you came to this meeting for a reason. Hopefully you have something fun to share with the group, all kinds of different things. So I will stop talking. If somebody would like to jump in and share, feel free to use the chat as well if you want to share some links, and then I'll pop those here into our notes too.
I'll go.
Thank you, Kim. Go ahead.
I just discovered, and maybe you guys are already aware, but Pear Deck has an AI tool now that I really love. I don't know how often any of you use Pear Deck, and I don't know, does everybody have Google? Like, do all districts in this group use Google?
Yeah, so everybody, Everybody in Stark County has Google available for their domain. So yes.
Okay.
And then I included that link in there for you as well that talks a little bit about Pear Deck. Would you mind just elaborating, like for anybody on the call that hasn't used Pear Deck before, can you tell us,
Yeah.
I guess, what it does and how you use it?
So it is like you can create slideshows from Pear Deck. There are templates, or you can create it from scratch, or you can take Google Slides. It's an add-on with Google Slides that is what's the word I'm thinking of?
So it like supercharges your slides with
Yes.
different activities, with
It's
different like
interactive.
widgets.
That's the
Mhm.
word. It's 4 o'clock and I'm tired.
That's
of
okay.
teaching.
That's
I taught
okay. Don't
8
worry.
classes today. It's interactive, so it's engaging, interactive. The students use their device, and you can control their device, and they can answer questions right within the slides immediately, and you can see the responses. It's just a quick way to do some formative assessments during a lesson and throughout the lesson. Um,
It makes it
but
super engaging too.
yes, it's very
So
engaging.
yeah, so by the time my students got to me in middle school, they were, for lack of a better word, like slided out. And, you know, it's
Oh, yeah,
they've
yeah,
done, yes, they've done too many slides. They're all the same. It's all cookie cutter. But using something like Pear Deck is a really nice way to supercharge those and make them something more than just a sit and get slide deck.
Yes. So if you've used Nearpod, it's very similar to that. It has, I thought it had more limitations for a while, but it seems to be growing a lot. It does have um, a library where you can find pre-made templates, and which is growing. It's called like the Orchard or something like that. Um, but the AI feature that I saw was really pretty awesome. You just typed in your topic or your standard, and it created a slideshow for you. So I've used it. Well, I actually have not used the AI portion yet, but I plan to for teaching like internet safety and basic like introduction to technology, like what is technology? Because I teach second and third grade technology. So I have used Pear Deck in the past for that, but I'm excited to see what this AI tool can generate for me.
For sure. Thank you for sharing. So the thing that I really like about this and some other tools that are out there is like, yes, the AI tools are all great and wonderful if you know how to use them. And a part of the trick right now for the teachers who are using AI really well is that they have practiced a lot with prompting. And so if you can construct a good prompt, then you're going to get good stuff on the back end. But what I like about this tool, and like I said, some of the other ones that are out there, is like if you'll notice on the screen, like these are really just drop downs or they're fill in the blanks. I don't necessarily have to create this really perfect prompt. If I can fill in those blanks, then I'm going to get something really good. So we're getting to the point now that like, because we have a handle on AI, on the thing itself, we're now focusing on the user experience and making it even easier for people to get good stuff. So yeah, that's a wonderful share. Thank you so much for including that. I put that into the top of the deck here too, if anyone else is interested in checking that out.
Also, one last thing about it, there is
Yeah.
something on it called a flashcard factory, which has been around for a while, but it is also really engaging, a fun way for the kids to interact with vocabulary words. They draw pictures. It's a competition. Um, so my teachers that use it really love it, but sometimes they need to be reminded about it because it is a powerful tool for the kids.
Yeah, very cool. Christina, go ahead.
I just wanted to add on to that. I'm glad you mentioned that because I know with the end of last year, we were talking about like that Senate Bill 29 coming out and like how certain websites we weren't going to be allowed to use. And one of the big ones they had said was Quizlet. And that's, I know like our fifth grade team really used Quizlet a lot because then it made the cards, but then it had games, interactive things with it. So I'm glad that you said that because maybe then if Pear Deck is going to be part of an allowing website app, then this could be a trade-off.
Yes, that's perfect. Perfect response. The tricky part is the way that the student data privacy stuff is structured at the moment is that each district has to have that relationship with the company itself. And they have to say, like, you need to abide by these rules. You're going to protect our students. You're going to protect our data, you know, all that other kind of stuff. And so for whatever reason, Quizlet has been really hard to nail down on those student data privacy policies. So yeah, that's not unique to just your district. That's going to be commonplace, and they're either going to have to play ball or they're going to lose a whole lot of business through it too. So thank you for bringing that back to the SDP stuff. That's awesome. And Barbara, I can see your hands up too. Do you want to share?
Yes. Yeah, Barb, I teach at Northwest Middle School. I'm a middle school teacher. So one of the things I played around quite a bit with AI, but our district just made the purchase for Brisk that we can have. I'm in love with Brisk. If you haven't played, I've used Magic School. But it's kind of really nice for teaching. Like if you're trying to get something together like quick, that would take me hours to do. For example, we always do this like Indian boot camp when the sixth graders come in. And what they give us is this whole sheet of just all these things you need to cover, you know, and we try to do games, we try to whatever, but it's a lot of information. Well, I brisked it. Sorry about that. Brisked it. And it made this wonderful, I'm talking like this wonderful presentation. Now I did discover there was a limitation on slides and I missed some things and I had to go back. But I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like something that the kids could look at. It made questions for the slides too, based on the material it put on. And I was like, this is kind of cool. Like there's a question we can discuss, like that I didn't make up based on. Now, did you go in and look over it and make sure everything was appropriate or it fit what you needed? Absolutely. The other thing I liked about it is that I've been playing with too is, well, you can go out and find an article online about anything, internet safety, and find a great article or email etiquette or whatever you want, highlight it, and then ask it to make you 5-10 questions about the article, and it makes the test for you, like, or a thing where the kids can look at it and answer questions if you want something one day for them to read and answer questions. Like I look at it some days, that might be a great sub activity, because you know it's hard sometimes for a technology person, a teacher, to come in that's not technology. They don't have access to my computer to teach the kids. It's a great way for me to do something quick that's not involving a lot of time to plan for a sub, but it's pertinent to the curriculum that I'm teaching. So I don't know, I really like it. And then I was playing with setting in like when you do, I don't know what you guys do for grading, like rubrics and stuff, but you can actually upload a rubric into Brisk and you get automatic feedback. And yeah, some of it is okay, some of it is not, but it's way more in depth than what I would do. And when I played in more detail, like, okay, I want a total of like 8 pictures in the presentation, I can literally put that in and say, does the presentation have 8 pictures? And it'll literally come up and say, you did not have, like, it is pretty cool. And I just have spent hours. Now, can you do transitions and stuff? No, but some of the things that I take a lot of time to look at and grade, it has some things right now that you can use and do things with. So I'm not totally, it's just started using it. So from what I've found, I really like it. And I just have to keep diving in and working with it more. But I did discover if you don't give it a good prompt for the rubric or the questions you're asking it to look for, it doesn't work. So that's another thing you have to kind of like figure out. What is the way you want to ask it to get some of those results? And that's just practicing putting in the questions. And if I don't get anything, I try a different way to ask it to give me the feedback or, you know, that I'm looking for. So that's all I got for Brisk right now.
Yeah, that's such a great share. It's so funny you brought it up because the meeting that I had at 1:00 with our digital academy directors, this also came up there too. So it's really nice to see that it's being used in multiple districts. But yeah, it's really nice. They have Brisk has the extension that's a part of it too. So if you'll notice in some of the examples that I was scrolling through while you talked, if you'll notice down here in the corner, that little like brisk button is always there and available for you. So while you are navigating the internet and while you're working on different projects, you can click that little brisk button and it will pop those items up into place for you very easily. They also have the like little individual tools, which I was scrolling through also while you were talking. So if you wanted to just focus in on observation notes, or if you wanted to focus in on your 504s or your feedbacks or whatnot, then you can go directly into the app and work on it that way. That is very similar to Magic School, which again, you mentioned that we had talked about previously too. So yeah, lots of really cool instances of AI out there, and I'm glad that you were all bringing them here so that we can all learn and share together. So this is awesome. What else? Other fun things that have come across your desks?
Okay, I don't want to be a share hog, but I have another one that I
Please,
really
please.
like. It's Diffit. I don't know if you've ever heard of Diffit. So Diffit, I do like to incorporate some reading. I like to help and contribute to what's going on in the classroom, with supplementing reading things that are about technology. But Diffit also is one of those things where you can actually go in, you got the passage, but you can make it to the grade level you want. So like if I have accelerated kids, I could take the passage and make it like higher, maybe 8th grade. And then some of my students are working on the same kind of passage, but they're special ed. So I could put theirs at a 4th grade level that is geared towards more of a lower level. And I really like that because one, we spend a lot of time creating things for each level of kids, but this is doing it for me. And, I kind of play around with the grade levels. I'll move them around so I could actually personalize for each kid. If I have a really low special ed kid, I could give them a 2nd grade level reading passage and get that in there for them. And higher ones, 8th, 9th grade, whatever I want to do. And I love that I can differentiate with a passage and it's creating these wonderful prompts and questions and stuff for me. So.
Yes, I'm saying you hit the perfect word for it there a moment ago, Diffit as in differentiation. So you can see here on the screen too, I brought it up while you were talking about Readers on Fire. You have two great shares today. There are different ways that you can interact with it. So you can start from scratch and just say like, this is what I need help with and pop that in. You can do an article or a video URL. So you can pull a video from YouTube or you can have, a link to a different article. You can use any text. So that's like copy from this thing and paste into the box and get it that way. Or you can generate it from a vocabulary list and it will make the thing for you. So I'm going to do, let's say we want Abraham Lincoln for 5th grade English, and we'll have it generate our resource sports here on the fly. But yeah, you can even choose like within grade 5, I need a high, a medium, and a low set of resources. I need, an extra question set as a part of it too. They have really nice, like one-click exports. You can see those popping up over here on the side too, into some of the, Google integrated items. The thing that I really like, and this is a newer feature of Diffit, is that they're including like images for you to include in your work as well. But these aren't AI generated images. They are just like found and compiled, collected from the internet. So you can see that these all have sources and that they're not just, randomly computer generated. So yeah, really, really love that. You can see some of the differentiation features in here as well. So again, it just created this reading passage from scratch. I can ask it to adjust the length, but the thing that sets this tool apart for me compared to the others is that it's sourcing its information. So if you click show sources, it kind of becomes like, for lack of a better word, like a Wikipedia article, in that you can see exactly where all of the facts that are used up above have been pulled from. So, Abraham Lincoln was born in Kentucky in 1809. Well, that was sourced, to this first one here, which is pulled from Wikipedia. If you are working on something, let's say we're trying to do a project on Abraham Lincoln, like, yes, all the AI generated stuff is great, but I now get to use these as like jumping off points too. So I can see these things like, oh, Abraham Lincoln, the White House. Maybe I want to go to whitehouse.gov, all about the presidents. And now here's this article to continue my learning about, whatever this topic is. And again, in our example here, that's Abraham Lincoln. So lots to love about it. We get the full summary here. We get some key vocabulary words, some questions that we can add, and you can see all the buttons across here too of different ways that we can affect the content that was generated. It will also include like your answer key for you too, if you wanted those as well. So just a lot to love. I have found this to be, I found Divot to be like probably my second or third favorite tool that is out there. It's wonderful. So yeah, I echo the praises that you rained down upon it too, Barb. So really wonderful stuff. Any other items you want to share for this month's meeting?
I was gonna just bring up. I believe I actually learned it from here a couple of years ago, but it just seems to come in handy a lot. Is tinywow.com. I just feel like it's a untapped resource. I feel like every time someone's like, how do you do this, or how do you make it into this, or how can I change this PDF to a Word document, into a PDF, it has everything. So if you haven't used it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, TinyWow is my jam. It makes you feel like a superhero, because people are like, oh, like, can you help me do this? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then like you click 2 buttons on TinyWow and it does it. And they're like, how did you do that? And it's like,
exactly.
I click the button.
I feel like a lot of people have been like, since it's the beginning of the year, they come and ask me different questions about like, how can you help me with this? And I feel like there's been quite a few times already that I'm like, just go to TinyWow and you can get it done yourself. And so I just thought I would bring it up again because it was a good one.
Yes, thank you. So the TinyWow is wonderful. If you've never used it or seen it before, across the top, you have all the different file types that one could run into. And essentially what it did, the creators of it were finding that they were going to a bunch of different websites online to do different things. Like this tool could do this little thing and this tool could do this little thing, but there wasn't one place that had them all. And so they created TinyWow to do that. So if you want to manipulate your files, one of the things that we see more often than not is like people will get like a PDF and they're like, oh, I can't do anything with this. This is a PDF. Well, there are actually like PDF busting tools within TinyWow that, Laura, pick up your jaw. I just saw it drop. There are tools in here that will bring those out and make them into regular docs or slides for you. And then you can then modify the thing. So really wonderful. I'm so glad that you brought it up, Christina. All right, Laura, go ahead. You have a question.
No, I was going to say, so I could, because I Google a lot, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? So this is where I'm going to go now instead of Google to search my questions.
So depending on what the task is, there are a lot of little mini tools within TinyWow to do that. So if you want to, you can just use the search bar here. So like you can see one of the things that I commonly run into is the WebP file format to a PNG. And if I do a search for it, then we'll see if that pops up. And you can work with it, you can manipulate it, you can change it into different things too. So yeah, it's really wonderful. I can't say enough nice things about it. It's nice that there's something for everybody. And just like a lot of the other tools that we see out online, they are starting to get some AI components on here too, just again to try and create that one-stop shop for everything that you might be using. So that is one of my bookmarks. I go there very frequently. Like I said, can't say enough nice things about it. All right, I will go ahead and take my turn in the share a tool area. I wanted to bring in some resources from Common Sense Media. We will not see each other again until after the election. So I wanted to give you some resources that you might be able to use for some different things. So the first of which is called The Power of Words. This is specifically meant for some elementary grades, just so that they can get the power of the things that they're saying. But there's no reason why you couldn't also use this with older students as well. So one of the things that we know about Common Sense Education is that they give you everything that you might need. So this is a full lesson plan along with the learning objectives, along with a video that you can watch and the questions that you need to say along the way, and the lessons that, or the slide decks that go with it as well, including handouts and all kinds of other really wonderful things. So The Words We Choose is a great lesson. Other ones, Finding Credible News is a great little mini lesson. I wanted to call out specifically this part of this larger activity. So it's called News or Fake News. So this goes into the information pollution. We talked about that last year too. But I really like the way that they broke this down, especially making it like digestible for our kids. This is the Internet Investigator Checklist. So read closely, analyze the source, look for corroboration. I like that it's just those three. It's boom, 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 easy to remember, easy to share, ways for your students to make sense of things as we hit the home stretch here of election season. Common Sense Media also has the digital dilemmas kind of playbook here too, which is great. So this is a whole curriculum for digital citizenship. This is like a choose your own adventure type experience too. So they're like little cartoon characters and they interact with this world and they do different things. And then you get to choose how they are making their way through. So I really, really like that. That I think is probably my favorite digital citizenship product that's out there at the moment. So Digital Dilemmas. And then I also wanted you to know that they have a full list of digital citizenship lessons K to 12, and those are available in that last link. To shout out Jessica R. Adams for sharing this in one of our Google Champions networks. This is her Tuesday Tech Tips area. There are over 70 slides, if I'm not mistaken, of different like really easily digestible little things to know as you're making your way through using your computer. So she has compiled those all here. You can see, none of them are necessarily like earth shattering, like this is going to change your whole life in the way that you do everything, but they're so nicely like compact to like buy yourself more time. Most of these are like efficiency plays. So the more that you can do things in an efficient way, the more time you're getting back with your kids. The easier your work becomes, the more productive you can be. So as you can see, we're almost up to 80 slides on this, and then she just continues to add to this week in and week out. So shout out to her for putting that resource together. I think that's really cool. And the last thing I'll share here is Enlighten AI. So again, just another AI tool that is out there that I think is kind of neat. This is a way that you can connect to like your Google Classroom to push things out directly to students. You can see that, it's connected to the classes that I have created here within the domain, but you can also bring in your rubrics, you can bring in your AI tools, and it just kind of helps to make everything play nicely within that ecosystem. So something that's pretty cool. Like I said, it's an efficiency move. So, by using something like this, you are buying yourself time in the real world to actually see your kids and talk and help them to learn. Okay. All right, let's move on to questions. So are there any questions that are out there, things that you're interested in? You're wondering how other people are handling such things? What questions are out there that you might want to ask of our community? And if there are none this month, that's okay too. We can move on. I'm trying to give it the proper wait time, but it always is much more difficult online because I can see all of your faces and you're all puzzled, and then somebody's like, "Okay, just move on already." So we will go ahead and do that. For our meetings deep dive, I am going to be very selfish and talk about how I spent my summer vacation. So I'm sure this is what you all came to the meeting for, to hear what I did with my summer, but it is especially important this summer because I got to go to the Certified Innovator Academy with Google. And this means that I got to go to Chicago to their offices, and it was incredible. Every possible thing that you could think of like, it'd be really cool if an office had this in it. they had it. So you can see some of the pictures that I included there. They had like a full-on game room with like ping pong tables and pool tables and like actual video games. It was like a small like Dave and Buster's situation. They had a full like music producing studio. So all the instruments are there just all day. If you want to go in and play, that's a thing that's available to you. And they had like the most amazing cafeteria that I think I've ever seen. And was super jealous of the things that they had available to them. But it's all done so that the people feel like it's their space, that they're taking that ownership. Google has like an 80-20 rule where they want you working on, your, contracted work for 80% of your time. And then they want you to use your other 20% to do something that like enriches you or something that you're interested in, like a passion project. And so that's where a lot of different things have come about that, features that we have seen that have trickled out, or different networks and other things. So there were a couple really cool things that happened. So when we showed up at everybody's place setting, there's a deck of cards that looked just like this that you can see on the screen as well. So all the cards that are splayed out. And we had a pack of 50 cards with our own picture on it. And then the goal was throughout the 3 days that we were there, we would work with everybody else that was in the room and swap cards. So on everybody's card on the front, it had their picture, it had where they were from and what their job title was. And then on the back, it had like a fun fact that we provided to them, way back in the spring. And so it was such a fun way though to see like, not only, is this an amazing experience, but now like I am literally connected to all of these other people. So think about how you might be able to bring that into your classroom. Obviously, I'm not expecting that anybody goes and gets a custom deck of cards with people's pictures and faces. Like that is probably a little bit ambitious, but there are definitely ways that you can bring this type of activity into your classroom to help your students connect to other students. That's been one of my big pushes, since coming out of the pandemic is like, how do we get our kids back? How do we get them talking to other humans and not talking to computers, and starting every video with, hey guys, it's me, Matt, and I'm going to talk to you about that. And they're getting their like influencer voice on because that's the thing that they're seeing online. So, having those real conversations were just so much fun because then you could also see things like, you're that person that does X, Y, and Z, or I think it's so cool that you like knitting. And that's this, my friend up here, we did these breakout sessions where like they could literally be about anything you wanted them to be about. And hers was about knitting. And so she had these little knitting kits and you were making the Google Chrome logo, with all the yarn and stuff. And I'd never done that. So it was really fun to just try something new in a safe environment like that. So that was really cool. Other fun things that happened, they would break up the learning really, really well with activities. So we would do what they were calling like sprints. So we would have, 20 minutes to work on a thing, 30 minutes to work on a thing. And then like at the end of that time, we would have to share with somebody else. And so, we would do, whatever that sprint may be, or we would work on our thing. Everybody would take a break. We would come back and then there would be some sort of activity. The one activity, you'll see the batteries up there. They gave us pencil lead. They gave us those batteries. They gave us a jar and the alligator clips, and they said, make a light. And that was it. And so everybody had this jar, had this equipment, and we had to figure out how we could make a light with this. That's the moment that I almost set the Google offices on fire because they didn't give us the parameters that we shouldn't use all of the lead. I had never done this before, so we put our table put all of the lead in there, and it literally starts to glow. And so we were getting a lot of smoke, but we weren't getting the glow that we wanted. So I tossed that note card into the thing. I was like, this is great. We're just going to start a fire. They told us to make a light. That's one way to make a light. And then they came rushing over very quickly going, no, please don't do that. So that's the moment I almost burnt Google Chicago down. But it was incredible. Just the getting together of people was so wonderful. On the next slide, you'll see this was my breakout that I shared with the group. For some of you, you may know, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I got a full ride to Ohio State for being a golf caddy. So that was my share for the group. It could, like I said, literally be about anything that you wanted. And I just wanted to get the word out to everybody that it is a thing that, you know, all the students in their school districts can acquire. They just have to know about it, and they have to go out and be golf caddy. So that's what I shared. And then hopefully that made its way out with the other 50 individuals or 49 individuals who were there that they could take back to their community. So just something fun that that I got to include there too. And I think it's going to try to play music, but there we go. So other things that they shared that I thought was really cool. We had to work on projects. And so for the next year, I'm going to be bringing my project to real life. And essentially, my project is based on, it's an AI tool that a teacher could go to, that an administrator could go to, and they would basically say something like, I've never used Brisk before. Like, is this worth the money in investing? And if I use this, how can it hit different learning strategies that I know are research-based, that I know are actually going to help my kids, rather than, you know, invest money into something that teachers are never going to use that isn't actually going to help my kids. So over the course of the next year, that's what I'm going to be working on in my spare time, which obviously I have tons of. But to communicate this out to everybody, we use this Pixar story spine. And I thought, again, this is something that was really cool that I think could be used within your classroom. So this is how Pixar starts all of their storyboards. They use these like sentence starters to basically communicate the idea of the movies that they're creating. So once upon a time, Matt did da 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 da. Every day he woke up and he smelled terrible until one day new deodorant was created and it was able to do this, this, and this, right? We're starting to craft that story, but it's kind of that fill in the blank. So all I need to do is fill in the little pieces and parts. And by the end of it, you are able to then communicate what the like bones of this story might be. So I thought that was a really interesting way to kind of bring things together. They also let us use some tools that have not been made publicly available just yet. So Google is getting a product called Vids, and it basically is like an AI video tool that looks a whole lot like slides. And you just like plug and play your information just the same way that you would with Google Slides. It stitches it all together. It adds music for you if you want it. It does your transitions for you. It makes it look all nice and pretty. And then it produces that video for you. So very low key tool, but it produces these really amazing things. And then this was another project that we did that I thought was a great activity that I would love to use within a classroom. This was called Crazy Eights. And the idea is that, there's a problem, whatever that problem may be. Like I said, we all brought our own little individual projects, our own little our own little problems. And on the fly, we had to create 8 different ways in which a person could solve that problem. Now, the constraint was that you had 40 seconds. So we all had papers that looked just like that. We all had Post-it notes that looked just like this. And there was a timer up front. And so they would go, okay, begin. And you're, easily writing out your first idea because that's your best idea, right? And you're, writing the thing down. You're like, this is great. This is the solution to the problem. Ding. All of a sudden you have to jump to the next Post-it and try to write something completely different than the one you did before to try and solve that problem. Ding, 40 seconds go by and you barely feel like you've completed that second one. And all of a sudden you have to create another idea on how to solve it. And eventually you get to a point where you're like, I'm running out of ideas. I don't have anything to do. And that's kind of where the fun came in, because then they would say things like, okay, your 40 seconds are up. You're probably running out of time. What would be like the worst idea for how to solve this problem? Write that one on the next one. Time starts now. And so then you would start to think of like the most abstracted, bonkers way to actually do the thing. But in doing so, it also sparked other ways like, well, this is really stupid, but like, what if like maybe you could do this part of it, or like there's this little nugget or this little element of it that could be pretty cool to do. And so ding, 40 seconds comes by, and then you can, elaborate on that on the next one. So they talked to us a lot about failing fast. And so, being comfortable enough to say, I tried this thing, it didn't work. Here's why it didn't work, and here's what I'm going to do to improve upon it. I think is something that's really important that we want to get our students comfortable with. We're always like, we want this perfect little product and we, give it out into the world, but we need to get comfortable in the idea that like failing is okay and that's how we learn. And so if we can get that out of the way really quickly, then we can move on to some of that learning. And Christine, I saw your question in there. What are some examples of the problems that we had? We were working specifically on like our larger project. So again, mine was basically trying to create this tool, whatever that may be, to help decision makers, administrators within a district to make better informed tech decisions. And so that was what I came to the table with. That's what I came to the academy with. And then using this, I basically led myself down the road of okay, well, maybe this is an AI tool. I'm not sure how many of you saw, but Google has Gemini as their primary AI tool. Well, they have these little ones called gems now, where basically you teach the AI bot what you want it to do and how you want it to function. And so they told us about that at the academy, and then I started to create that little gem to then try to solve my problem. So these were for all kinds of things. Mine, like I said, was on making better informed decisions. Some people were there because they wanted, another friend had theirs is after school activities. And you think of your cross-curricular, different activities like sports and whatnot. But how do we have what happens during the school day also go to your after-school activities? And so through her conversations, she basically led to, it wasn't an extracurricular, it was a co-curricular. One of her partners said well, it shouldn't be that, it should just be a co-curricular. And it was instant light bulb for her. She was like, whoa, that's the thing. How do we get people to do that? So then her different 8-box was trying to tackle what that may look like. So we all brought different things to the table. We're all going to be working on those throughout the course of the year. And then we meet up again as a whole group in July to kind of show our products and what we've done across that time. So lots of different things that were shared there. The other thing that happened that was kind of fun, I was in the airport in ORD there, O'Hare, when the whole CrowdStrike incident happened. And so it was not a fun day at the airport. It basically crippled everything. We saw the blue screen of death that you see there in the background, that recovery screen. It was literally on every panel, and it was sort of dystopian. It was wild. It was like the good old days when computers weren't necessarily a thing. So it was interesting just to see that aspect of everything, because while the world was seemingly shut down and unable to function, they made a very distinct point to say the whole world is having problems, but we're still able to work here in the Google offices right there, trying to connect it back there as a competitor, the Microsoft stuff. So just a really interesting thing to have happened as I was on a business trip for technology. And all of this is to say that there are really wonderful communities within Google. So you'll hear me talk about all kinds of different products or all kinds of different communities, but there are really great ones here within Google as well. So if you do not have, or if you're interested in learning more of your level 1 skills, your level 2 skills, those are the little badges that you see, kind of look like Post-it notes. I wanted you to see the task list that was included there, as well as the fundamental course outline, so that you can make a decision for yourself in terms of if that was something that you would be interested in doing. I wanted to include those. So those are going to take you to these different slide decks where basically you look at this and say, okay, if I want to get my level 1 certification, I need to be able to organize my drive, to access my files with search operators, to add shortcuts, to color my folders, right? To do these different things. So these are really nice, digestible little handouts that will show you the basic tasks that you can then take to complete some of those different courses. So level 1 and 2 is open to everybody. Once you get 1 and 2, you can take your trainer exam if that's a thing that you're interested in and become a part of the trainer community. Trainers, coaches, and innovators are all a part of what they call the champions community. And it's really cool. Like it basically just connects you to all of these other people throughout the world who do the same stuff as you. So I'll kind of pull back the curtain a little bit. This is the Champions Hub. So I am an innovator, a coach, and a trainer. And so there are like little different pockets for everybody here. So this is where we go for questions. This is where we go to find different things to just have conversations with each other. But these are really, really just wonderful groups to be a part of because it's everybody helping everybody for the greater good of our kids. So if that's something that you have ever thought about and might be interested in, I'm happy to help you start down that journey. But like I said, it was going to Chicago and getting to be a part of that Innovator Academy is basically like a professional high that I'm going to be chasing for the next 20 plus years or whatever, however long I have left to go. So just really, really cool. And if you ever get the opportunity to do something such as that, I highly encourage that you do that. Okay. Any questions about the communities, about the exams, any other question that I can answer for you about the academy, anything?
I had a quick question. So I guess it's probably been about 10 years ago. I did my level 1. I then never redid it, let it expire. I guess my question would be like, have they updated the skills since then? Like, I hope they have, but I guess that's my question.
Yeah, great question. So they update the skill set pretty regularly. The quiz itself, like the exam itself, has also changed drastically. When you took it 10 years ago, there were 2 parts. So there was like the actual quiz questions with, you selecting the right bubble and that's that. And then they had like the practical environment where like you were actually a pretend teacher doing, pretend things with pretend friends. They have gotten rid of that part. And that was such a sore subject for all of us because that was like, it was the most authentic assessment that I think I've ever seen on anything, on any platform. It was incredible, but they have gotten rid of it. So the skills are always updated, and that's where like those decks that I sent you out to, those are like the most updated ones that they have. But as new features are added, they basically get added to those decks as things that they would want you to learn. Now the problem is for some of the features, like some of the things that I may talk about, like those aren't available to everybody. Those are like what we would call like premium features for the upper paid levels of the Google Workspace for Education. So the exams, for the most part, leave a lot of those out. So they're looking at like the base version of Google for Education. Here are the skills, the tasks, the things, because those other tools may not be available to everybody. So they try to, kind of even the playing field there. But yeah, I would definitely look to those. I think it's, I can't remember if it's every 3 years or every 5 years that you have to re-up. I think it's 3. And so basically the way that I word it is like, if you're using Google on a daily basis, you could probably go take your level 1 skills test like right now and pass without a problem. The level 2 has some of those advanced features, some of the more advanced things. So like you definitely want to go through the courses for those. But yeah, they're really wonderful. And then the trainer one, you have to have 1 and 2, and then you also have to submit like a video of you helping others. So that one's, I like that that's a component of it. The coaches one, you have to submit work that you have done like a full coaching cycle with an individual, showing basically that you're going through the process, that you're doing all of those things together. So wonderful question. All right. Let's wrap it up then. As we look ahead, like I said, we will be coming back together in November, but there are a couple of things that I want to get on your radar. First is time sensitive. So the call for proposals for OETC closes on September 15th. The conference itself isn't until February, but they close it up now so that way they can get, all their stuff in order. What they included this year that I had not seen previously, but they, I've probably had it on there, but they included different ways that you could learn about, like, well, what makes a successful proposal and what are things that people might be looking for. So I wanted to include those here for you. There are 3 different resources: the tips for writing a winning conference proposal, 6 tips for submitting a successful presentation proposal, and then how to write a successful conference proposal. So 3 really cool resources if you've never done it before. OETC is a lot of fun. It is at the Greater Columbus Convention Center downtown, and it's just a really fun place to be. There are not like giant rooms where hundreds of people are going to be. They are pretty manageable little classroom situations, kind of like the one that I'm in now, anywhere from like 15 to 30 seats. So it's not a super big like barrier for entry there either. So OETC, hopefully you have something that you might want to share on. Just remember that closes on the 15th. I mentioned it earlier, but again, I help lead a group called Leading for Learning. This basically brings about all of the major players throughout Ohio. So ETLA, DW, every other acronym that you can possibly think of that has a hand in education. We try to bring everybody together to collaborate and to talk to each other rather than sticking in their little individual silos. The first meeting for our year is going to be next Wednesday at 9. Again, I know that that's not necessarily conducive for classroom teachers, but if you're available and you want to pop on, please feel free to do so. And then we actually do like a live version of this at OETC too. So if you come to OETC and you want to join in on that, we'd love to have you. GEG Ohio meet regularly. This is led by our friend Eric Kurtz. The first one is September 25th. That's going to start at 1. Typically they go like 1 to 3, but that opens it up to the Google community where they do just an exceptional job, like better than anybody, at showing the updates of the things that have changed since the previous meeting. This first one of the year is going to be a big one because there's a lot that's happened over the summer that Google has introduced. So if you can't be there live at 1, it's just recorded to YouTube, no big deal. So you can always go back and check that at any moment. All right, we, I think, talked about it at the beginning of our meeting, but here is a nice little picture of all of our other meetings. We just wrapped up our September 11th meeting. We will be back again on November 13th and February 5th and April 9th as well. So I will do my best to start these at 4, and then we'll end when we run out of content time. Okay. And then just one other thing that I wanted to mention, great friend of ours, Lori Morton, who, if you've been coming to our meetings, always comes in, just nicest person on the planet. She unfortunately passed over the summer. So I wanted to pass that along to this group because I know that she was pretty active with us here too. So if you want to read more from her obituary, I included the link there. And then the family also asked if you wanted to donate. They asked that you donate to St. Baldrick's Foundation, which they do childhood cancer. So Lori was incredible. And like I said, I just wanted to pass that along to all of you. Okay. All right. This has been a wonderful meeting. I really, really appreciate all of you joining. Make sure that you are going to the discussion area to grab that attendance link, fill that out. That way you'll get your certificate. As always, if you need anything, you have my contact information. You've been just wonderful sharing this meeting. That was great. So come next meeting with even more fun things to share. Bring a friend with you. And I really look forward to seeing you again in November.